What happens when a franchise that promised championship glory suddenly goes radio silent after losing its franchise cornerstone and missing out on every backup plan? Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive into the Toronto Blue Jays' increasingly puzzling offseason strategy or lack thereof. Today, we're dissecting a situation that has left the fan base divided, frustrated, and desperately searching for answers. Let's set the stage properly here. The Blue Jays entered this offseason with momentum. They made waves by acquiring Dylan Cease, a legitimate ace who instantly elevated their rotation. They signaled championship intentions. The front office promised bold moves, aggressive spending, and a roster built to finally break through in October. But then came the silence. The deafening, uncomfortable silence that followed Bichette's departure to the New York Mets. Now, here's where this gets fascinating from a front office psychology standpoint. Reports indicate that Toronto never truly prioritized re-signing Bichette. Think about that for a moment. A homegrown talent, a fan favorite who spent his entire career bleeding blue, walks away, and the organization essentially shrugs. The initial speculation suggested they were saving financial flexibility for Kyle Tucker, the superstar outfielder who could transform any lineup. But as weeks turned into months, Tucker signed elsewhere, and Toronto's master plan began looking more like organizational paralysis. The Bichette situation reveals something deeper about modern baseball front offices. There's this growing trend of analytical departments convincing ownership that emotional attachments to players are liabilities. Don't overpay for nostalgia, they say. Trust the process, trust the projections. But what happens when the process produces nothing but question marks? What happens when your fan base watches their beloved shortstop sign with a division rival while your front office tweets about exciting developments coming soon? Let's talk about the Yoan Moncada situation, because this is where the plot thickens considerably. Moncada, a versatile infielder with experience at both second and third base, represented the perfect band-aid solution. He wasn't Bichette, but he offered positional flexibility exactly when Toronto needed it most. The Blue Jays reportedly showed interest, classic front office speak, for we made a phone call, but Moncada ultimately signed with the Los Angeles Angels. Another swing, another miss, another day of uncomfortable silence from a Rogers Center. Now, we need to examine the roster construction nightmare Toronto has created for itself. They've signed Kazuma, Okamoto, Tyler Rogers, and Cody Ponce. Solid depth pieces, absolutely. They avoided arbitration with 3 players, which is smart financial management. They've added some intriguing minor league talent. But here's the brutal reality. None of these moves address the gaping hole at the top of the infield. None of these signings make casual fans rush to buy tickets. None of these acquisitions make the New York Yankees or Baltimore Orioles lose sleep. Let's put this in historical context. Remember the 2015 to 2016 Blue Jays? That team understood urgency. They traded for Troy Tulowitzki. They acquired David Price at the deadline. They went all in because their window was open. Fast forward to the day, and this front office seems paralyzed by analysis paralysis. They have Dylan Cease, they have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. entering his prime, they have George Springer still producing, but they're operating like a rebuilding team terrified of commitment. The comparison to their division rivals is absolutely devastating. The New York Mets didn't just sign Bichette, they also acquired Freddie Peralta and multiple other impact players. They looked at their roster, identified weaknesses, and attacked them with financial aggression. The Yankees brought back Cody Bellinger, adding another championship-caliber bat to an already dangerous lineup. Meanwhile, Toronto's biggest splash since Cease has been avoiding arbitration hearings. That's not a championship strategy. That's organizational timidity disguised as prudence. Here's what really concerns me about this situation. The message it sends to the remaining core players. If you're Vladimir Guerrero Jr., what are you thinking right now? You just watched your double-play partner leave without the organization putting up a fight. You're watching division rivals get significantly better while your team signs depth pieces and talks about internal options. Guerrero's contract situation looms large, and every day of front office inaction makes his future in Toronto more uncertain. The Moncada miss hurts specifically because of the positional flexibility he offered. With Bichette gone, Toronto needs someone who can seamlessly slide into multiple infield spots, allowing manager John Schneider to optimize matchups and rescue players. Moncada wasn't a superstar, but he was exactly the type of versatile veteran who helps championship teams navigate the grueling 162-game marathon. Instead, he's wearing an Angels uniform, and Toronto is left scrambling through their organizational depth chart, hoping someone unexpected emerges. Let's talk about the financial aspect, because this is where the frustration reaches a boiling point. The Blue Jays operate in the largest media market in Canada. They have corporate backing from Rogers Communications, one of the wealthiest telecommunications companies in North America. They charge premium prices for tickets, concessions, and merchandise. Yet somehow, they're operating like a small market franchise terrified of exceeding the luxury tax threshold. The fan base isn't asking for reckless spending, they're asking for competitive urgency that matches the ticket prices they're paying. So, where does Toronto go from here? Spring training is rapidly approaching, and the current roster construction leaves serious questions unanswered. They have internal options at second and third base, players like Santiago Espinal and others who can fill innings, but are those championship-caliber solutions? Are those the types of players who perform in October, when every pitch matters and margin for error disappears? The harsh reality is that the Blue Jays' championship window is narrowing faster than management seems to realize. Baseball windows don't stay open forever. Core players age, injuries happen, and competitors get better. The 2026 season represents a critical juncture for this franchise. They can either embrace urgency and make the bold moves necessary to compete with the Yankees, Orioles, and Mets, or they can continue this passive approach and watch their window slam shut while explaining to frustrated fans that they like their internal options. The free agent market still has options available, though the pool shrinks daily. There are veterans looking for opportunities, there are buy low candidates with upside, and there are always trade possibilities if Toronto is willing to part with prospects. But all of these solutions require action, decisive, bold, uncomfortable action that this front office has shown little appetite for this offseason. Here's my final thought, and this is what should terrify Blue Jays fans. Organizational complacency is contagious. It starts in the front office, spreads to the coaching staff, and eventually infects the clubhouse. When players see management unwilling to invest in winning, it affects their own commitment and urgency. Championship cultures are built on relentless pursuit of excellence, not on spreadsheets, and process over results mentality. Toronto has approximately 3 weeks before pitchers and catchers report. 3 weeks to salvage an offseason that has gone from promising to puzzling to downright concerning. 3 weeks to prove to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and the fan base that this organization is serious about winning championships, not just selling hope and collecting revenue. The silence after losing Bichette and missing Yoan Moncada speaks volumes. Now, the question becomes, will the Blue Jays break that silence with meaningful action, or will they continue down this path of passive roster management and hope that internal options magically transform into championship solutions? All right, everyone, I want to hear from you in the comments below. Are you still confident in the Blue Jays' direction, or has this offseason shaken your faith in management's ability to build a champion? Drop your thoughts. Hit that like button if you want to see more honest analysis like this, and let's keep this conversation going. The Blue Jays season might not start for weeks, but the real battle, the battle for organizational identity, is happening right now.